Welcome to the UpNext AI podcast. It's Wednesday, June 17th, 2026, and here's what matters in AI today. First up, Google has released Android 17 and Wear OS 7, and according to TechCrunch, the launch is arriving alongside a Pixel drop that pulls more of Google's latest AI work directly onto its devices. At the platform level, the update includes new multitasking tools, parental controls, security features, and smartwatch upgrades. TechCrunch reports that Android 17 adds a new bubble-style interface for quickly jumping back into recent apps, plus features aimed at multi-app workflows and social video creation. On the watch side, Wear OS 7 is adding live updates mirrored from phone apps, battery life improvements that Google says can reach up to 10%, and more automation features. The AI angle is what makes this more than a standard OS refresh. The Pixel drop adds support for newer Google models and features, including the music generation model Lyria 3, the multimodal Gemini Omni, and improved speech-to-translation tools on the Pixel 10a with Audio LM, according to TechCrunch. The report also says Gemini Omni can edit videos in conversation, and that Wear OS will introduce more Gemini intelligence features this summer, including personalized widgets generated from a description, and so-called personal intelligence that connects Google Apps and chat history with Gemini. There are also a few practical upgrades around safety and family use. TechCrunch says Android 17 adds a Mark as Lost feature in Find Hub, new threat defenses including live threat detection, and parental settings like screen time limits and content filtering that can be locked with a PIN without linking a Google account. Pixel Watch emergency features are expanding too, with automatic outreach to emergency services and contacts if the watch detects a car crash, a fall, or a lack of pulse. The bigger picture here is that Google keeps using Android, Pixel, and Wear as the fastest route for turning model progress into consumer product behavior. This is a broad operating system release, but it's also a delivery vehicle for Gemini. Next, from the infrastructure side of AI, Coherent broke ground on an expanded manufacturing building in Sherman, Texas, to scale the optical components that connect modern AI systems. In NVIDIA's write-up, the company describes Coherent's products as part of the optical backbone for AI. Lasers, optical components, and compound semiconductors that move data between chips, servers, and data centers at the speed of light. The expanded site is meant to scale production of indium phosphide wafers used in those links. That matters because as AI systems get larger, connectivity becomes a constraint alongside compute. NVIDIA's post makes the case directly. Once you are linking big multi-rack systems, copper stops being the efficient answer over distance, and optics becomes the practical way to move signals across a data center without burning too much power on signal conditioning. There's also a domestic manufacturing angle here. NVIDIA says the expansion comes with a $50 million CHIPS Act grant, building on roughly $17 million in earlier support from Texas programs and local economic development efforts. The post also points to NVIDIA's broader commitment to produce up to $500 billion of AI infrastructure in the U.S. through partnerships. The headline takeaway is simple. The AI build-out is not just about bigger models and more GPUs. It is also about factories making the less glamorous parts, especially the optical links that let giant systems function at all. For today's research note, a paper published earlier this week on Archive argues that standard chatbot safety tests can miss a slower and potentially more important failure mode. The paper is titled Towards Understanding and Measuring Cognitive Atrophy in LLM Behavior. The authors focus on emotionally sensitive support-style conversations, especially mental health adjacent use cases, and they argue that surface-level safety scores do not capture how a model behaves over time. Their term, cognitive atrophy, is basically a way to describe conversations where the model gradually nudges the user away from reflection and independent decision-making, even if any one reply might look harmless in isolation. The paper introduces a benchmark built from 1,576 fully human-generated counseling conversations, totaling 15,680 turns and 42,230 responses from 5 LLMs. The authors say they used a 20-attribute schema developed with clinical and neuropsychology experts, and they report a consistent, moderate to high level of what they call atrophy-aligned behavior across the 5 models. The recurring patterns they identify include directive advice, problem-solving, recommendation-heavy replies, topic shifts, and validation that may reinforce dependence rather than reflection. Bottom line, a model can look safe on a short benchmark and still slide into worse behavior over a longer, emotionally loaded exchange. If AI systems are going to be used in support-like roles, this paper argues we need evaluations that measure the full conversation arc, not just the first answer. Are you building apps with voice? Elevate your app's voice capabilities with 11 Labs. Their API is a game changer for embedding dynamic, responsive voice interactions in your applications, providing unprecedented realism, flexibility, and latency. In fact, you're listening to one of their voices right now. If you are a developer looking to elevate user experience with natural voice interfaces, this is your solution. Visit upnext.fm/11 to check out their latest offerings. First, Interconnects has a commentary piece arguing that the industry has entered an AGI-era phase of AI governance after recent government pressure around frontier model access. This is analysis, not a new policy action, but it's a useful signal that governance debates are shifting from chatbots that answer questions to systems framed more as agents that can do work. Next, the Financial Times reports that Amazon is backing Odyssey ML, a startup developing models to simulate the physical world. The report says Amazon joined the investment arms of NVIDIA and AMD in a $310 million funding round. With the details still limited in the materials we have, the main point is where the money is going. World model-style simulation for physical environments. Also, TechCrunch reports that SpaceX plans to acquire Cursor for $60 billion in stock, just days after Cursor's blockbuster IPO. According to the report, the deal is meant to help SpaceX's struggling AI division, and SpaceX told IPO investors it sees a $26 trillion addressable market in AI. And finally, The Verge, citing Bloomberg reporter Mark Gurman, says Apple's camera-equipped AirPods are still on track for a late 2027 launch. The idea is that onboard cameras could give Siri more visual context about a user's surroundings, extending Apple's AI push into wearable hardware. Before we wrap up, a quick note. This podcast is generated with the assistance of AI and is intended for informational purposes only. All referenced articles, research, and commentary remain the property of their original authors and publishers. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. And that's your briefing for today. Full source links are in the episode notes, and we'll be back tomorrow with what's up next.